Ever feel like technology is catapulting us backward? Not in like a bad way, but towards a future that kind of rhymes with the past. That's what this deep dive is all about. Exploring how Bitcoin and AI might be shaping a world with, well, surprising echoes of medieval times.
It's true.
Yeah. So you sent over this fascinating excerpt on neomedievalism, and I gotta say, it really got the wheels turning.
Yeah.
For those who haven't tumbled down this rabbit hole, what exactly is neomedievalism?
Right. So neomedievalism, it's like imagine a future where centralized power, governments, big corporations, starts to kind of fragment, giving way to these more decentralized structures.
Kind of like that shift from empires to feudalism back in, well, medieval Europe.
Exactly. Think instead of nation states calling all the shots, we might see a rise in the power of smaller, independent communities, even digital networks.
Okay, so we're talking about a future that's both high-tech and strangely, well, medieval.
Precisely.
Gotcha. And the real kicker here, at least from what I'm gathering, is that technology itself, things like Bitcoin, AI, and the whole blockchain shebang, might actually be the driving forces behind this shift.
They very well could be.
Let's start with, I guess, the elephant in the room. Or should I say the Bitcoin and the blockchain? Everyone seems to be talking about Bitcoin, but what's the big deal?
Yeah, it's definitely more than just a buzzword. Think of it this way. Bitcoin is often compared to digital gold, right?
Okay, I've heard that.
But instead of being locked away in a vault somewhere, it exists on this vast, decentralized network of computers.
So, no Fort Knox for Bitcoin.
Exactly. And this is where it gets really interesting. Because it's decentralized, no single entity, no government or bank can control it. It's a stark contrast to our current financial systems.
So it's like this digital Wild West of money. I mean, it sounds a bit chaotic, no?
That's where blockchain technology swoops in. It's the ingenious backbone of Bitcoin. Picture a digital ledger, right? Completely transparent, accessible to everyone, and it records every Bitcoin transaction ever made.
Okay, I'm picturing it. Keep going.
Now, here's the key. This ledger isn't stored in one place. It's duplicated across countless computers.
Ah, so it's like having a million witnesses to every transaction.
Exactly.
Makes it pretty tough to cheat the system. That's actually really clever when you think about it.
It is. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. This blockchain, it's not just about recording transactions. It can also execute these things called smart contracts. Basically, self-executing contracts written in code that automate complex agreements without needing a middleman.
Ah, so cutting out the lawyers and the banks and all that.
Exactly. And this has the potential to revolutionize everything. Supply chain management, voting systems, you name it.
So we're talking about shaking up way more than just how we handle money here.
Way more. And this is where we start to see those parallels to, those medieval power structures we talked about.
Okay, bring it back to neomedievalism for me.
Right. So remember Evgeny Morzov's idea of techno-feudalism.
Refresh my memory.
He basically argues that in this digital age, data is the new land, and these tech giants like Google and Facebook, they're the new feudal lords.
Because they control so much of our digital lives.
Exactly. They wield immense power over what we see, how we connect, even what we think.
It's true. You depend on their platforms for income, for your, I don't know, voice to be heard. It is very similar to how, like, serfs relied on the Lord's land for survival.
100%.
So where does Bitcoin fit into all of this? Is it like this rebel knight challenging these tech overlords?
In a way, yes. By decentralizing power, Bitcoin and blockchain technology offer an alternative to techno-feudalism. They give individuals more control over their data, their finances, even their identities.
So instead of pledging allegiance to a king, we're beholden to algorithms and platforms. It's like opting to live off the grid instead of relying on the power company, but on this massive scale. But is this power shift always a good thing? It kind of sounds like we're just trading one set of overlords for another.
That's the million-dollar question. And it's something we're going to delve into even further as we explore the world of AI. Because while Bitcoin and blockchain lay the groundwork for this decentralized future, AI might be the force that truly, reshapes the entire landscape.
We've been talking about Bitcoin and blockchain creating this, like, decentralized future. Right. But could AI actually, I don't know, flip the script, create new power structures, maybe even ones that are more powerful than the ones it's dismantling?
It's a good question, and it's where things get really, really interesting.
Okay, yeah. Walk me through this. We hear AI everywhere, but what is it about AI that makes it such a game changer, especially in this context?
So at its core, AI is about machines learning from these huge, massive amounts of data.
Hmm.
And we're talking way beyond your coffee maker remembering how you like your coffee.
Right, right.
Think about algorithms that can analyze, global trade patterns or predict shifts in energy consumption.
Okay, I'm with you.
Maybe even anticipate, like outbreaks of disease.
Wow.
And it can do all of that with an accuracy and speed that we can only dream of.
So instead of relying on, say, government agencies or these massive corporations to manage all of these really complex systems,
Right.
we could have AI doing it, potentially more, I don't know, efficient.
More objectively.
Objective.
And that's where this whole neo-medieval connection gets really, really interesting.
Okay.
Because if we can have AI managing these complex systems at a really localized level.
So not top down.
Yeah, exactly. Think like AI-controlled microgrids for energy instead of these giant power plants, or AI-driven supply chains that connect local producers directly to consumers.
And then you don't need the big guys.
Exactly. We might not need those massive centralized structures anymore.
Okay, so paint me a picture then. Instead of these big power players, we could see a resurgence of what? Smaller, more self-sufficient communities, where each one has their own AI kind of running the show. That sounds a lot like, well...
Feudalism.
Yeah, feudalism, but algorithms are the lords, not nobles, which I don't know if that's better or worse.
Well, and our source actually asks this really interesting question. What happens if AI and automation start taking over jobs that humans used to get paid for?
Okay, like driving trucks.
Right, or writing legal documents. What happens to the idea of work?
Right, or how we get paid.
Exactly. And if people aren't earning wages, how do governments collect taxes? How do they fund all those services?
Wow. The whole system kind of falls apart.
It really unravels.
Yeah. If you take out that bottom block, what happens to everything stacked on top of it?
And this is about way more than just economics.
Yeah.
What about our sense of purpose? Social structures.
Yeah.
Like what happens when AI starts taking on roles that used to be, well, fundamental to what it meant to be human?
Okay, now that's both fascinating and terrifying. It's super interesting. But on the one hand, you have this world where AI empowers us to live in a way that's more decentralized,
Right.
more personalized. And on the other hand, it could completely turn everything upside down.
They could.
Our social and economic order, maybe even create new forms of inequality.
Or control.
Yeah, control. That we can't even imagine yet, which is a lot. It really is a lot to wrap your head around. We've gone from like digital coins to, I don't know, feudal lords to AI overlords in what feels like record time.
It's a fast-moving world.
It really is. But I think for me, what I'm really curious about is what this means for like you and me.
Right, like how does this affect us?
On a day-to-day level. Like
Yeah.
what would it actually look like to live in this, neo-medieval AI-driven world? What's day-to-day life?
Well, the source actually paints this really vivid picture.
Okay.
That's both, I don't know, really intriguing and, I gotta say, a little unsettling.
Okay.
Imagine this. You wake up and your AI assistant has already, analyzed your sleep patterns,
Okay.
maybe even looked at your social calendar, and it's planned your entire day.
Wow, so no more decision fatigue.
Exactly. It tells you the best time to work out,
Okay.
the quickest route to that meeting across town,
Oh, factoring in traffic.
down to the minute.
See, that part I can get behind because I hate traffic.
Oh, absolutely. It's a game changer.
Okay.
But it's more than just convenience, right?
Okay.
Imagine no more irrelevant news.
Oh, like no more spam, no more doom scrolling.
Exactly. You get personalized updates about things you actually care about, your community, your interests, your network,
That's the dream.
right?
Sign me up. But what about, I don't know, the social aspect of all of this? Like, we talked about how AI could change how we work, how we govern ourselves. But what about, like, our relationships, our communities, our sense of belonging? How does that work?
And that is such a good question. Because it's where I think this neo-medieval thing gets really interesting.
Okay.
Because we might actually see a resurgence of these smaller, more localized communities.
Okay.
Think neighborhood-based networks. You're sharing resources.
Like a hyper-local farmer's market, but for everything.
Yeah. You're trading skills. You're using these AI-powered platforms to, I don't know, barter goods and services.
Directly with each other.
Exactly, without needing these big companies.
It is like going back to this like village-like existence, but with AI as the,
The village elder.
the village elder, exactly. It sounds kind of nice, actually, like a simpler, more connected life.
Yeah.
But are we romanticizing it? Because the Middle Ages weren't exactly, known for their comfort or equality.
And that is the big caveat, right?
Yeah.
This potential future, it's not without its problems.
Right.
The technology that can empower us can absolutely be used to control and manipulate. So it all comes down to how we choose to use it.
Right. Our intentions.
Exactly. What ethical frameworks we put in place
Yeah.
and how we handle all the disruptions that are definitely coming.
So it's almost like we're standing at this crossroads, and there are all these different paths we can take.
Right.
Some are really exciting, some are kind of scary. So what do we do? What can we do now, whether we like it or not, whether we're excited or scared, to get ready for this?
I think the most important thing is to just stay informed,
Okay.
stay engaged.
Stay curious.
Yes. And, ask the important questions now, like what role do we actually want technology to play?
It shouldn't just be up to, tech companies to decide.
Exactly. How do we make sure that AI benefits everyone and not just a select few? And how do we hold on to our humanity, our creativity, our values in this world that's increasingly shaped by algorithms?
It's a lot. It is really a lot to think about. But this has really, I think, opened my eyes to how, I don't know, complex this relationship is between technology and society.
It's really intertwined.
It's not just about, like, oh, is this progress or is this disruption? It's about, well, what is progress and who gets to decide and who benefits? And those are conversations, like you said, that we need to be having right now.
We do.
So to everyone listening, we really, really want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? Is this neo-medieval future something you're excited about? Or is it something that makes you a little nervous? Head over to our social media and let's keep this conversation going, because this, I think, is a deep dive that's far from over.